Hello, I am out and about enjoying this beautiful sunny day. I'm at a pool, but I'm not swimming. And I wanted to give an update on what the first chemo treatment was like and what I felt, what the side effects were. And I've read all about them. I'm sure, anyone who's has to go through chemo. One of the first things you do is read all about it. My oncologist and the nurse and the nurse practitioner and the physician's assistant in that office also had gone over all of the side effects, but there's a whole list, and some of them are in varying degrees, and they hit different, right? And so I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to experience, and some of that was the anxiety of, okay, the IV is started, they've tapped into the port, the drugs are being administered. I'm sitting here like a little guinea pig or something. I just heard someone say on an earlier video that cancer kills your body so it can cure your body. And it's like, okay, that's one way of putting it. I'm sorry, not cancer. Chemo kills your body. Chemo kills your body so that it can cure your body. And so I was sitting there getting the chemo, and it's coursing through, and I'm thinking of it. I wanted to get all the sounds, okay, but so I don't have the sounds in the background. But here's what I was visualizing while I was sitting in the chair and the drugs were being administered. I was getting the infusion. Was that chemo is like Pac-Man. For those of you all who remember or ever played, I played Pac-Man. Lots of Pac-Man, because I have two sons who are now adults, but when they were children, even before they were born, I played Pac-Man. But certainly with them. But Pac-Man is like all the blinging, chomp, 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 ding, 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 whatever all the sounds are, Pac-Man. That's what I was sitting in the chair thinking about. That chemo was like Pac-Man running through my body, chomping on cells. And it was chomping up some good ones, it's chomping up the bad ones, but that's the visual that I had, was Pac-Man. That's what I got. And the effects, though, so by the time I got home, I was really tired, and I continued to get more and more fatigued. And so I was just really tired, but I was super nauseous. I was very nauseous, and I was right on, like, I'm outside now. There are a lot of cracks out here. So I'm putting my foot just on the side of a crack. I'm not stepping on it, but that's how close I felt to throwing up. That I was right there from Tuesday evening through the rest of the night, all day Wednesday and all day Thursday. Now, I had some anti-nausea meds, 2 of them, that I could take each one every 8 hours, which meant that I could alternate them every 4 hours. So I was really taking a med. I took one, I started one, and then 4 hours later, I started the other one. So then 4 hours later, I could take the first one, and so on until I fell asleep. And the nurse told me 2 things. Take the meds and keep something on your stomach. That will help keep the nausea down, and hopefully prevent you from throwing up. Because if you go over the cliff, she said, and the medicine won't pull you back. And then I would risk dehydration. And then she said, you're going to have to call us. And then you call us. And if you call us and you're throwing up a lot, we're going to bring you in, send you in to the emergency room if it's after hours, or bring you in. Probably going to get admitted, because we're going to do that as a precaution and do IV fluids and all of that. And you don't want that, do you? And I'm like, no, I don't want that. So she said, keep something on your stomach and alternate these medicines. So I did that. And I'm going to say that I never threw up, but I'm also going to say that it did not mitigate the feeling of nausea either. And I didn't want to eat. And this is probably the first time ever that I mean, there have been some times where I've had a bad cold or had bronchitis or might have had a stomach flu or whatever, but this was a next level type of don't want to eat. Like, the thought of it made me tear up, that I had to put something on my stomach. Because usually if you're sick and don't want to eat, you don't have to. But they had drilled into me to keep something on my stomach. And above all else, I did not want to start throwing up and go over the cliff and have to go to the hospital and get admitted and IV fluids and all of that. I did not want that. So that was what was so hard for me and making me tear up, was that I had to eat something and I couldn't, when I just didn't want anything. So what did I eat? I remember when my kids were little, and if they were sick, nauseous or whatever, and didn't want anything to eat, you have to give them the brat diet. You have to give them Pedialyte and whatnot, but the brat diet: bananas, rice, applesauce, toast. I absolutely detest applesauce. I try not to eat it any more than I would eat baby food. So I didn't do applesauce, but I did do bananas, because I like bananas anyway. I did do white rice, and I put a little bit of soy sauce over it just to give it some flavor. I did do toast. I did dry toast. And the first night, Tuesday, when I got home, it was a Tuesday, that first time, I ate 2 cheese sticks and I drank a vanilla yogurt probiotic, like about a little, I don't know, maybe 6 ounces. And that made things worse. I didn't throw up, but it did make things worse. And I didn't know if it was the cheese or the vanilla yogurt probiotic. And so I'm like, well, lesson. So what is the lesson learned of coping with cancer? Don't introduce multiple foods that you don't know how you're going to tolerate at the same time, because then I couldn't isolate. Is it both of them I need to avoid from now on? Is it just one of them? Was it the cheese that did it? Was it the vanilla yogurt probiotic shake or whatever that did it? And I didn't know. And so I'm a little leery of eating drinking that anymore, or eating any cheese, because I wasn't sure. Later, a week later, in the follow-up with the oncologist, the physician's assistant said she was really, they're, big on the probiotics. So she said, probably was the cheese. Don't do cheese, do the probiotic shake. So I might try that again. But so that lasted, and the fatigue. I could not get enough sleep. I was so exhausted. And even when I would get up, like force myself to get up out of bed and get dressed and whatnot, even my sister said, "Are you okay? Because you're just like," and I was like, it's just this general feeling of malaise, like fatigue and malaise. I just did not feel well. And I wanted to be up and I wanted to interact. And, my mom was in town visiting, and so I wanted to interact, and FOMO, they were all upstairs laughing and talking, and so I'm like, wait, what about me? But I was so tired, so I did sleep a lot. I slept a lot, and I made sure that I took that medicine. Like, I set alarms on my phone to go off when it was time, because every 4 hours I wanted one of those. Whichever pill was up, I wanted it. And I ate very little, but I did keep something on my stomach. I did have the dry toast. I did eat the bowl of white rice. I did eat a banana, and that was about the extent of it. I didn't try a lot of different things that first time around. So how long did it last? It lasted, like I said, all evening Tuesday, 24 hours Wednesday, 24 hours Thursday. So by the third day, Friday, that was on a Friday, I woke up that morning and sat up and was like, whew, I feel better. And so after I got up and moved around and I showered and got dressed, I felt better. I did not have the same level of feeling nauseous, and I was not as fatigued. Still wasn't, I hadn't bounced completely back. By Friday afternoon, I had much greater improvement, was feeling much more normal, much more like myself, was out and about, ate some food, And by Saturday, I was like, what? Where are we going? Where are we eating? What's up? What are we doing today? I was back. And so the chemo treatment, that first one was on a Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was a wrap. Definitely sick, definitely fatigued. That Friday, Friday morning, I felt better. Friday afternoon, I improved even more. And by Saturday, I felt completely normal. And I've been feeling normal since then. This has been an off week for chemo. So my body has had a chance to recover. And I don't feel any worse for the wear for having had it. One other thing is that I don't think when they stuck the needle in my port, I didn't use enough lidocaine, or I didn't put it on soon enough. So I think I put it on about 35 minutes beforehand, before we left. So it was probably on about an hour before they punctured the port, to puncture me, to stick the needle into the port. So I'm gonna back that up next week. I'm off this week with chemo. Next week I have my second treatment. Second of four, this first round of four. So I will next week be celebrating that I'm halfway through that first series. And I'm gonna put the lidocaine on. So my suggestion for those of you who are just behind me in this journey, who maybe your port's been installed or you're gonna get a port, I would suggest, I'm gonna try to put the port on, the lidocaine on, rub it on and put the saran wrap over it an hour before I leave the house, so that by the time I get there, it's about a 20-minute drive for me. By the time I get there and I get settled and registered and all that stuff, I've got an hour and a half in, hour and 40 minutes in with the lidocaine to try and reduce the pain, because that Tuesday night, that area was it was kind of throbbing. It was hurting a little bit. So that's what happened with the side effects from chemo. The other big thing that's happened recently is the only people who are near and dear and close to me, that are two of my three heartbeats that I hadn't, well, I have lots of heartbeats. I have 2 sons, I have 3 grandsons. So let me get the math right. I have 5 heartbeats. And 3 of the heartbeats are my grandchildren, my grandsons. And 2 of those 3, I had not told about my situation. One is 10, one is 5. My 3rd grandson is only 17 months. So there is no telling him, right? So the 10-year-old and 5-year-old did not know. And I was really, it was very important for me to tell them. And it was very important for me to tell them in person. And I had a lot of anxiety around telling them, because we were so close, and I was worried about how it would impact them. And I had worked myself up into a lot of anxiety about telling them and scaring them. And for my grandkids, a lot of you all know that they call me Gracie, Graci. I am Gracie to them. I'm their Gracie. And that stands for Grandma plus Tracy. There's a whole story behind that maybe I'll tell one day. But so I wanted them to know that Gracie was okay. I didn't want to scare them with the big C word. I wasn't sure how they process all of that. So I told them yesterday. And one of the things I was clear on from a lot of reading and talking to people is that they would likely process and they would follow my lead. So if I was anxious and wigged out about it, it would make them anxious. If I were matter of fact, I wanted to be honest and truthful about what was happening without, hiding. I want to be honest and truthful, but I didn't want to scare them either. So it was a balance that I was trying. So I told them yesterday, and what I told them was that I'd gone to the doctor for, because I go to the doctor every year and have tests, and that the doctor told me that he found a tumor, and that that I had cancer. And so my 10-year-old grandson said, "Where's the cancer? Where's it at? Where?" And I said, and I hadn't thought about whether, Well, I guess I had, and I wasn't going to say where necessarily in that first conversation. But since the 10-year-old asked, I said, in my left breast. And he said, so you have breast cancer. Now, all I had said was there was a tumor in my left breast. And so he said, so you have breast cancer. And I said, yes, I do. And I said, but it was caught early and I'm going to be okay. But the process, there's medicine I have to take that is going to make me sick. And once I get done with the medicine as the first treatment, then I have to have surgery and then some more treatment, and then I'll be okay. And I said, so I want to talk about the medicine a little bit. It's got some side effects that will make me sick. I'm not going to feel well. I'm going to be really tired, and it's going to make me want to throw up. So I'll be nauseated. And also, one of the bad side effects is it makes your hair fall out. Well, the 5-year-old thought that was hilarious, right? So we laughed about, I know Gracie's going to be bald. Can you believe that? So, he kind of got a kick out of that. And the 10-year-old wanted to know, asked, is it going to grow back? And I said, yes, my hair will grow back. When I finish taking this medicine, it's going to grow back. But in the meantime, I will be bald. So soon when you see me, I'm not going to have any hair. And so rather than wait, we talked about, I didn't want to wait for it to start falling out. And he was questioning, well, why don't you wait and let it fall out? And I was like, yeah, no, that's not good for me. So we're going to cut it off and shave my head. So he asked, oh, I'm sorry. My grandson was just telling me to get out of the road because a car is coming. So he asked me a lot of other good questions, good secondary and tertiary questions, very inquisitive. And I said that the purpose of the medicine, he wanted to know why I had to take this medicine. The purpose of the medicine is so that before I go to surgery, hopefully it kills all the cancer in my body and shrinks the tumor. And he goes, so they're going to shrink your boobs? I was like, no. A lot's happening there. I'll tell you about that in a minute. I said to him, but no, it's not going to shrink my boob. It's going to shrink the tumor inside so that when I go have surgery, they can just, I'm cancer free. The cancer is all gone. That's the goal. And the tumor is much smaller and easier to remove and all of those things. And then also, as a result of this, it's not going to shrink my boob. They're going to remove my breasts. And he was like, all off? They're taking them all off? And both of them off? And I was like, yes. And he said, so you're going to be like me? And I was like, yeah, kind of, except they do reconstructive surgery and they'll create some fake ones. So it'll look like I have it, but they won't be real. So we had this real conversation and he was asking great questions. And at the end of, he said, so you're not going to die? And I said, I'm not going to die. And the doctors have assured me that I will be cured, that this is just last week I was at the doctor and my treatment plan is a treatment plan for curing. So I'll be okay. And we can't go on vacation like I planned this summer, but we'll make it up next summer. And we'll make it on that vacation together. So one of the things though that I found really, really, really powerful, and I hope I'm not overstating it, as the grandmother who thinks the sun rises and sets with her grandkids, but immediately at the end of the conversation, he did something. His name is Cameron. He did something that blew my mind, and I asked him if he would repeat it so that he could be part of this video. And I wanted to share with you what he did, and I'll have him do it, and then I'll have him do it again slower, and we'll walk through and explain what it means. So, hey, Cameron, can you come here? So, this is Cameron. This is my 10-year-old grandson. And so stand here. And what I said is that you're going to do it. Just do it what you did. And then we'll do it again slower, one at a time, so we can explain what it means. So hold on. I'm sorry. We have to do it this way. Let's see. All right, go ahead.
So we have
Go ahead and do it. All right, do it one at a time. Do it again, and I'll explain what it means. Do the first part.
So you're sick.
I'm sick.
You cut off your hair.
I cut off my hair.
And they cut off your boobs.
They cut off my boobs.
And you live.
And I live. One more time.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. So I'm sick. They cut off my hair. They cut off my breast, and I live. And I think that that is that's how he processed our 20-minute conversation, and it let me know that he was okay. They were okay. The 5-year-old thought the bald part was funny, and he had been inviting me to his graduation. Like, are you going to come to my graduation? He's graduating from preschool into kindergarten, and wanted me to come to his preschool graduation. And I kind of been kicking that can down the road until I could have this conversation with him. And he kind of uninvited me to the graduation because he was like, no bald people at the graduation, only dads. Now, some grandmothers might be hurt by that, and I'm sorry if it seems insensitive, but it was hilarious to me, and I wasn't offended at all. We got a huge laugh out of that. And I was like, you mean you don't want Gracie to come to your graduation and be like, hey, everybody, here I am, I'm his grandmother? And he was like, So it actually worked out in my favor, because otherwise he was going to be really sad if I said I can't come to your graduation. But I was uninvited, so we're good. I'm good, he's good, everybody's good. So the 10-year-old Cameron just said I'm still invited to his graduation, which unfortunately I won't be able to make, because that's not only is that a chemo treatment week. I looked ahead at the calendar, but on the very day of the 5-year-old's graduation is chemo day, and so the next day is the 10-year-old's graduation. And I will, like I told him, I will not be feeling well, so I will not be out at graduation events. But so, lessons learned. My coping with cancer. Lessons I'm learning. Don't introduce, when you're not feeling like eating, don't try a bunch of things at once, because if it doesn't work, you won't know which one to avoid. So introduce things one at a time. Also, obviously this is contextual for, you got to know the children that you're talking to, but generally speaking, my advice now, based on my experience, is it validated for me, what I've read, what I've told, is that the kids will follow my lead. And if I'm distraught and covering up, they'll be more distraught and sense covering up. But I was, matter of fact, I was upbeat, I was truthful, it was age appropriate, and I let them ask all the questions that they wanted to ask, and I answered them. I answered them to the best of my ability. And after that conversation was over, the 10-year-old gave me a hug, said he loved me, and then asked his mom if he could go play at a friend's house. So I count this as score. It was a good conversation, and the anxiety of, I don't want to freak my grandkids out, was over. And I'm grateful that the youngest is only 18 months, so that I don't have to, I didn't have to explain this to him. I didn't have to worry about him. So I'm going to stop here, and I hope this has been helpful. I hope that maybe it gave someone some comfort, or that you otherwise enjoyed the video. So see you next time. Bye.